Recently, I've seen a few videos saying that new programmers shouldn't try learning PHP because it's too difficult to set up a development environment. In this video, I'm going to show you that it's actually not that hard as long as you do it the right way. So, this is the easy way to set up a PHP development environment. However, this is just for Windows because the tools I'll be using are only available in this form on Windows. If you're planning to start learning to program, PHP is probably not a bad choice as long as you already know a bit of web development with HTML and CSS. If you're not interested in web development, PHP is probably not the language for you because it's very much a language designed for the purpose of writing the server-side part of web applications. What I'll do in this video is take you through the process for setting up the PHP development environment that I use every day. I'm going to use a clean setup of Windows so that no programs I already have installed make things look easier than they should. The first step is to install Visual Studio Community Edition. This is a free version of Microsoft's development tools and can be used for many types of development project. So, first thing to do is search for Visual Studio Community Edition. And in the search, ignore the adverts at the top and go to the Visual Studio site and click Download. This downloads a setup thing. To open that file, click Yes to allow it to install. And click Continue when the Visual Studio Installer bit comes up. So that downloads a second part of the installer and opens up a window for you to choose which aspects of Visual Studio you need. So here that is, and I've just paused my video so I can highlight this. The section you need is this ASP.NET Web and Web Development. You don't need any of the other aspects of Visual Studio for the purposes we're talking about today. You'll be able to come back and install other things later if that's what you want. But for now, just select the web development part and click Install. So that starts the install process, which takes a wee while, about 10 minutes probably. So have a cup of coffee or something and come back and it will be at the next stage. So now it's almost finished and it will launch the Visual Studio when that's done. At this point, what we're wanting is to go into the program without actually loading anything, because the next thing will be to install the PHP plugin. So it's this continue without code link below the other options is the one you want. And this opens up Visual Studio. Just close down that wee Copilot bit and get rid of what's new because they're not interested in that right now. So go into the menu and that's the Extensions menu, Manage Extensions. And then what you need to do is search for DevSense PHP Tools for Visual Studio and click Install. This will take a couple of minutes to do a download. And then you can close the Visual Studio and the DevSense installer will appear. So just click Yes for that and it will start installing. You can close the Video Studio installer now as well because that's separate from DevSense. Click Modify to allow DevSense to modify Visual Studio, and it will be installing the PHP tools for Visual Studio. That doesn't take very long, just a minute or so. And just close that. So, having installed Visual Studio and DevSense PHP tools, the next thing we want to do is test it. So, from the Start menu, run Visual Studio. And this time select Create a New Project. Select the top project type, PHP Web Project, and click Next. Just give your project a sensible name, in my case PHP Test, and Create. Now, at this point, DevSense PHP is telling you that you're using an evaluation copy. So you'll have a trial license of premium features for 30 days. After that, it reverts just to the basic features. Or you can purchase a license. So just close that window and select Empty Website and Finish. Now, the PHP installation hasn't quite finished yet because the bits specific to the current project, or standard project at the moment, haven't been put in. That's the PHP itself. So you need to say OK for DevSense Visual Studio Elevator to add more stuff. That will only happen when you're switching to a different type of PHP, but this is the first time, so you need it. So click Yes, and that will install PHP currently 8.4. And your project gets created, and you'll see on the right of it there is the Solution Explorer with index.php, the main file of your project. So double click that to open it. You'll see it's just a simple Hello World project at the moment. So I'm just going to add in an extra function call here, PHP info, which is a built-in function, will tell us a bit about the version of PHP, and click Ctrl F5 to start the program. Here it is in the browser, Hello World up at the top, and then the PHP information. So that's it, PHP all running. Now, there is a final little fix that we want to do, which is enable the error messages in PHP, which are turned off by default. So right-click on the solution, project PHP Test 1, and go to its properties. And then in server properties, and click on the ini file name. And open that and search for errors, or error. Best to spell it right. Just search down, and finally, find display errors. And this is what we really want, so copy that, go down further, and as you can see, display errors, it's off. We want it on because that's much better for development purposes. And below that, display startup errors, switch to on as well. And much better for development purposes. These would be off in a production server. And save that file. And that is now everything set up for you to use Visual Studio as a PHP development tool. So if you're interested in learning PHP development, I hope that was helpful for you. I'll create a written set of instructions as well and link to it in the video description, because I realised there are some places I went a bit fast there. If you found this video useful, please click the subscribe button. That will encourage me to make more videos about PHP and web development. Thank you for watching.